I think one of the most requested questions I have on the channel post tuning my 2022 WRX, which is behind me, is how much power am I actually making on this car and how much torque am I making and what does that mean for the car itself. And in today's video, we're gonna hop in the car and I'm gonna walk you guys through the juiciest thing of the video is how much power is my tuned 2022 VB WRX making. Yes, it's actually a pretty insane number, and we're going to talk about it. There are some nuances around here because I was etuned, so we're going to talk about the range, how it's put together, and a few kind of like hidden tidbits because there are a few etuners out there that are like way overvaluing people's horsepower gains on their virtual dynos. We're going to get into all that information, but we're going to jump into the WRX and drive. It is a cold, snowy afternoon, and I thought, why not enjoy it and do some pulls while the temperatures are down and we're making a little bit more power. And guys, before we get into the car and I tell you guys, the one thing you can do for me, it's absolutely free to do, is right below my face, there's a little subscribe button, and if you just click it, it's absolutely free to do. It will make my day, and it'll probably help you learn more about Subarus, tuning, or anything around car stuff. And if you guys want a reason to do it, I have a massive channel announcement. Not only are we adding a car to the channel, but we're doing a full build. We're talking full teardown, full build. I'm not gonna release too much information as of now, but it's coming to the channel very, very soon. Let's get into the car. Let's talk about some numbers right now. How much power am I making? A lot. Let's give it a little bit of power here. Holy moly. Gotta just check for cops. This car is so fast. We're gonna do some better pulls. I was already in second gear there, but like you have to have room to be able to pull this car now. So how much power am I making coming out of my DMann Tuning tune? That seems to be the question that all of you guys keep asking me, and I've kind of alluded to it a couple times in this channel, but I don't think enough of you guys watch all of the videos to know. With that said, there's a few caveats. Obviously, this was done with a virtual dyno, so you don't know, but I very much had a conversation with Anthony over at DMann about what that really means and his experience with other virtual dynos. And generally, where we land is the power that I'm making, and I'm gonna give you guys a range, is a very conservative power estimate. And he actually said, having tested a lot of cars that were tuned by other tuners where the reflection was, oh, you're making 380, you're making 375, you're making 390, he was getting pretty significant lower values, i.e. he's had some cars that were, let's say, 370 making 310 or something like that. So some of this is what the tuner wants to say, and for guys that are doing high volume virtual dyno tuning and knowing that their customer is going to stay virtual, you know, some of it's marketing, just saying you made a bunch of power. So the numbers that I'm gonna give you are pretty dumbed down. So conservatively, when we're making an estimate here, this car to the wheels is making about 340 wheel horsepower, which to the crank, with average losses for a WRX, an all-wheel drive WRX, you're probably looking, you know, 20% losses. You're probably looking at pretty close to 400, maybe 405 to the crank. Maybe a little bit more depending on the ambient conditions if it's cold out. And before I comment on that, let's holy crap. I can't even get to third gear. Insane. I'm like, I'm in the mountains, so granted there's some turns, but I can't even get to I can't even get fully through second gear. So I'm making about 340 wheel horsepower. It's probably closer to like 335, 350, you know, in that range. I'm going with the bottom end of that to 340 just to be safe, right? But I do live around sea level with a typically colder ambient conditions, which means I'm probably making most days on the higher end of that. Why that really matters is I have a higher density of oxygen in the air where I live, which is not good if you're training for ultra marathons, which is what I typically do, but really good if you're driving a car and you want to make power and want to go fast. Oh gosh, I almost just saw a crazy accident. Torque, I'm running about 360 around that mark. That's a pretty healthy number, and I can definitely feel it. And I'm very pleased actually with that number. You know, I think that if I were to do another jump, I wouldn't want much more torque. I'd probably want that to go up to maybe like 380, 390 and really see a rise in the horsepower so I can have it up top. But look, those are substantial gains, and those are gains from just an intake and a tune. And somewhat of an exhaust, but not like a full exhaust. So that's, you know, truly remarkable in my eyes. I mean, you can't ask for much more. Am I happy enough? Oh gosh, the sun. Well, maybe I'll leave this in the video. the sun fights you hard when you're trying to film in the car. But am I happy with that power for now? Yes, but I want more. I think this car could be a lot more fun with just an additional like maybe 30 or 40 wheel horsepower, which should be pretty obtainable with an intercooler and an intermediate pipe. So I think I'm going to take that next step probably in the summer and see what I can really put down. I might make a road trip out to somewhere where DMann is tuning in person and get some dyno time, just to see what I can do with this car. I think that's probably the next step for me. And I also, at that level, I'd like to hone down into something that is a little bit more individualized with this car. I might even think about doing an STI trans in this car. I'm not entirely sure, but it's something that I want to think about. I'm also toying with the idea of trying to get my hands on like a fully wrecked VB, like something that's been like completely wrecked, and making it into something fairly fast, where, you know, has to have STI transmission at the get-go, fully built engine, maybe gut the entire interior, so it's not my daily driver like this, where I can actually really make some real numbers, you know, maybe try to push the high fives, you know, and that kind of thing. So but short answer is, yeah, really good power, really good fun. So thanks for watching, guys.